Well, good afternoon and welcome to this meeting of the West Haymarket JPA for August 26, 2021. I would like to call this meeting to order and note that to my right is Regent Tim Clare and to my left is Council Member Tammy Ward. I'm Mayor Leary and Gaylord Baird, and we are here in Council Chambers where posted in the back is the State Open Meetings Act, and that is what this meeting is subject to. The clerk, in this case Casey, will read each item on our agenda, and staff will come forward and present on an item. We will take public comment following the staff presentation, and if each speaker could please state their name and address for the record, we'd be grateful. And also note that speaking is limited to 5 minutes on each item. And with that, Casey, would you please call the first item?
The first item is going to be approval of the minutes from the JPA meeting held March 25th, 2021.
All right. Are there any
Move
additions?
approval.
Okay. Second. All right. If there are no additions and corrections to the minutes, that was moved by Claire, seconded by Ward, and we can call the roll.
Ward,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylord Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next item is the approval of March, April, May, June, and July 2021 payment registers and review of the March, April, May, June, and July 2021 expenditure reports.
Mayor, members of the board.
Oh, thank you for,
Ooh, that's loud.
yeah. Thanks for zooming in, David. We're happy to have you present.
Thank you very much for the opportunity and for allowing me to present remotely. I'm going to go over the payment registers right quick. The highlights, payment registers for July 2021. I am bringing you a total. So a couple of the highlights, $7,112,803.66 were paid to Union Bank and Trust. This is our semi-annual bond interest payments. $53,882 payment was made to SMG in June for the FY 2019-2020 Arena Operator Incentive Fee. This was significantly lower than previous years due to the arena being closed. $1,084,597 was paid to District Energy Corporation. $754,061 was billed back to customers. This is 69.5%. This is standard for all of those months. $604,436.35 was paid to the City of Lincoln Parking for our parking management agreement. $201,802 was paid to the City of Lincoln for accounting and staff support as part of our 2021 operating budget. $127,082.38 was reimbursed to Pinnacle Bank Arena for maintenance, repairs, and capital improvements. Included in those items were $38,776.57 for annual maintenance agreements, $16,904.26 for annual inspections and maintenance, $48,837.10 for miscellaneous repairs, $22,564.45 for capital improvements. That is the summary of the payment registers before you. These are standard payments for the last few months.
Board members?
I think point of clarification on the amount paid to City of Lincoln Parking for February through June. I think you said like 38 cents. I think it should be 63 is what the document says. The other thing is we've talked about this in the past with respect to accounting and legal and other items. How do we get to that figure, and is there a per hour, or what's the basis for the rate? We brought it up in meetings with Chris before as far as legal goes. Is there a per hour charge I think we owe it to the city and we owe it to the JPA to be correct on how we assert that figure.
these amounts are budgeted, and it's a great question, right? How are these amounts budgeted? The budgeting for legal services includes Chris Conley and backup support. The budgeting for accounting is included. And then the largest percentage of the budgeting is around the treasurer's collection of the JPA occupation tax. That's currently the way it is budgeted. But I see Chris is standing up there. If Chris would like to respond as well.
Yeah, Chris Connolly, City Law Department. The number, it's not based on an hourly amount that we bill back that you might have in private practice. It's an amount that gets budgeted based on the amount of work as understood by finance each year in preparation of the budget. This is the way it's been done for the last 10 years or so. And that's usually in discussions with the city attorney also as to the amount of work that gets done. So that's how that number gets arrived at. And I believe that's the way it's arrived at for accounting also.
What if the amount of time actually spent by city, both for accounting and for legal, was in excess of what this figure is? How do you know, that's not fair to the city.
Right. And I don't always get into those discussions as to exactly how that number is calculated. But what I would say, and has been the historical argument, is that in the early years, we believe that there were years where the amount that was billed was not sufficient to carry all the fees and the time that law department spent on doing the work. And so is there a little bit of a catch up there? Yes. Now, having said that, I believe the amount that has been allocated for legal has gone down over the last several years, though, too. And so it's more of an art than a science in terms of how it's calculated.
Okay.
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 All right, any other questions? Okay. We'd be happy to take any public comment on this item.
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Dave, was the yearly payment to the bond made? I noticed in the, there was a large amount in the Haymarket expenditures. Let me see if I can draw it up here. Or when will that be made, if it hasn't been made already? It says debt service charge and debt service P&I on the last page.
The interest payment in June. On the June payment register.
Oh, well, I've got, oh, okay. It has been made then
Yes.
for the year, for the year. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Is there any work being done about a built-in deficit in the next couple of years? Or are they just putting off looking at that? Maybe he doesn't know anything about it.
I think we can discuss the budget for next year under the budget item. But yes, we are tracking that very closely, Jane.
Okay. And no layoffs at the arena or anything like that? They're keeping their same staff and so forth, even though they're in the red?
Tom is there, and I believe he can speak more accurately to this, but there were several layoffs of staff, and they're now ramping back up to support shows in the fall.
Okay, I thought several cancellations were there. Okay, so there's still 675 in the red. in spite of the CARES and the help from the JPA. Is he going to say yes or no, or is he looking at it, or what?
I'm pulling up the exact balance sheet right now so that we can see. And I have it here. 676. Nope. One more second.
Pinnacle Bank Arena income statement dated July 31st, 2021. The last column at the very bottom figure.
Thank you. I am no excuse. Working from a laptop is not the easiest thing. You are correct in your assumption that we are ending the year negative, but I don't believe that that we are having anything to be concerned about with where we are at with our finances. Having the arena shut down for the better part of a year has been significant, but Tom and his team have done a great job in managing that.
Tom Lorenz, General Manager of Pinnacle Bank Arena. So if you're looking at the sheet on the back, that column is the annual budget. That was the budget that was made up, anticipating what the year would look like. So that's a comparison for, as the actuals go through, you can look back and see where things were budgeted. If you look at the first column, year-to-date actual, those are the numbers that we're at right now. And when you look at the bottom, we are, again, with the CARES Act money in there, we're anticipating finishing right now at $90,812 in positive. So it is not 675 loss, it is 90,812.
Okay, so what do you have anticipated for what you have
5 minutes.
agreed to as for your events?
Ms. Kinsey, your time is now up, and we'll have Mr. Lorenz answer the question and.
Okay.
Not quite sure what she's asking. Yes, we continue to do events.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this item? Okay, seeing none, I would take a motion on approval of the payment registers. So moved.
Second.
Okay.
But I'd like to have a discussion, if we could, just to add and perhaps a request that I think it's fair. I've said this for probably before your time. I think it's fair that we have some sort of guesstimate as to both the city, from the city side of being fair and the JPA side of being fair relative to the amount we pay in legal and the amount we're paying in accounting. It's not fair to the city if we're requiring a lot of time being spent on the JPA work and the city is getting their, a certain amount that is not based on actual. And I think we need to have some sort of better idea, and maybe we don't have the time to do it now, but for future budgets, I really want to stress that we have some sort of thing that we could reconcile back to. I think it's fair to the city, and I think it's fair to JPA. I don't want to short either one of them.
Okay.
And I've been asking for that.
Madam Chair, so Regent Carr, are you looking for a breakdown then, like how will we derive at that?
How do we
amount?
get to that
Yep,
figure?
understand.
And I think that it's not fair to city accounting, for example,
Sure.
to say we get 200,000 when maybe the time that they spent was 300,000.
Right.
I don't know. But I think we need to have something on this that reflects back to, and I'm not asking to the penny, but I think we need to have something that reflects back to some sort of how they got to that figure.
Thank you for
For
clarifying.
both the legal and accounting.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? Okay, with that, that was, I'm not sure who moved it. Was it
I
moved by
moved
Ward,
it.
seconded by Claire?
I second.
All right, please call the roll.
Ward,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next item is WH 21-9, resolution approving a consultant agreement between the West Haymarket JPA and Olson Inc. for on-call services, including but not limited to environmental sampling and analysis, surveying, and semi-annual inspections in accordance with the West Haymarket redevelopment site north and south operations and maintenance plans for a sum not to exceed $13,074.
Chris Connolly, City Law. This is an agreement that we are obligated to maintain for various inspection services over the course of the next year through various covenants that we have with the property owners and with the state to make sure that soil samples are taken from time to time and that sort of thing in regard to the environmental work that was done years ago. And so this is very standard. It's just something that we will need to keep doing.
Any questions? All right, we will take public comment on this item if anyone would like to speak on item 5.
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Is it always the same amount? How often, are you doing it yearly?
It's done yearly. I'd have to go back and look and see what past contracts have been, but I think it's been in this ballpark.
Okay. And is that on developed or undeveloped land?
Both.
Both.
And in fact, I would say I'm sure that the inspection costs have gone down over the years because there are certain things that we don't have to do anymore. There were certain spots that the state said we didn't need to necessarily monitor anymore, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So, but can I give you a dollar amount? No, can't do that right now.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Is this goes with the plume, or is that settled, or you're just doing soil?
It's partly the plume, it's partly the rest of the area.
Okay. And when will that report be in?
Well, I don't know that, there's not an actual report, I don't think, that they're going to be doing. The results will be available as they do them.
Okay. Not in this meeting?
Not in this meeting, no.
No, okay. So I would have to get that from Frank or you?
From Frank, correct.
Okay.
Frank would have it.
For an email?
Yeah, that should
Okay.
work.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, would anyone else like to speak to this item? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion on item 5, the resolution approving a consultant agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Claire, second by Ward. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Ward,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next item is WH 21-10, resolution approving the proposed operating budget and capital improvement program for the West Haymarket JPA for September 1, 2021 through August 31st, 2022.
Okay.
Mayor, members of the board, thank you again for the opportunity, providing some highlights here for the proposed budget. On the revenue side, occupation taxes are budgeted at $17,486,751. This amount is roughly equal to pre-pandemic actual revenue for fiscal year 2018-2019. Intergovernmental revenue is budgeted at $3,585,255. This is a scheduled subsidy that we received from the IRS on our JPA Build America bond. This is very stable. Rental income is budgeted at $2,809,628. This amount includes $2,380,000 for our arena premium seating revenues and is based on contracted amounts, and $394,080 for PBA and Amtrak station facility rental. Parking revenues are budgeted at $2,660,000. Again, this is roughly equivalent to pre-pandemic actual revenue for fiscal year 2018-19. Miscellaneous revenues are budgeted at $1,262,146. This represents our sponsorship agreement with Learfield IMG. Total revenues budgeted for fiscal year 2021-2022 are $29,980,480. On the expenditure side, our miscellaneous contract services are budgeted at $922,166. This includes $411,779 for city staff, $347,000 for Husker basketball tickets purchased for suite and loge boxes, and $50,000 for project management. Our parking deck management services is budgeted at $1,948,239, and this is a figure that is provided by the city's parking services. Thermal heating and cooling, our DEC bill, is $298,000. Building maintenance is budgeted at $401,194, and that includes $158,000 for maintenance agreements, $78,000 for annual inspections, $150,000 for miscellaneous repairs, and $15,194 for our Amtrak station janitorial services. Capital outlay for the PBA is budgeted at $1,175,000, and that includes replacement of all of our point of sale terminals at $400,000. This is a program that will take us touchless and cashless. $300,000 for our IPTV replacement. Building improvements for PBA are budgeted at $1,855,000. This includes $1.4 million for replacement of the ribbon boards, $90,000 for front ramp reconstruction, and then $220,000 for arena ramp and elevated plaza concrete repairs. Ground improvements are budgeted at $824,600, and that includes $475,000 for our Block 4 streetscape, which is part of the Canopy Park redevelopment agreement, $200,000 for the final paving project for the BNSF, and the West Park Haymarket District landscaping at $70,000. Debt service budget payments are scheduled at $19,788,981. IRS interest subsidies are budgeted at $3,585,255 for a net debt service of $16,203,726. Total budget expenditures are projected at $32,114,288. Other than that, it's a very consistent budget with our process. The few large ticket items that we've talked about are to be approved during the course of the budget year. So if revenues don't go the direction we are projecting, we'll be able to pause any of those purchases.
Just to clarify and put that in another way, is that all the budgeted projects will come back before this board for approval prior to being, this authorizes them within the budget, but they come back to us for a final approval before you execute those. Okay, thank you.
That is correct. Thank you.
Okay. Would anyone else like to speak on this item?
Can I speak?
Mm-hmm. Please,
Okay.
please come forward.
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. On the last page, though, it shows that there's 38,000 or about $1 million or so less in from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So they've lost $2 million. Is that the way you read that?
I'm going to ask Mark Lycum to come up and speak to that specifically, if there's a question.
Jane, are you asking just about the excess of the expenditures over the budgeted revenues?
Yeah,
Is that the
right.
question?
I'm sorry, Mark, could you just identify yourself for anyone?
Mark Lycum, City Finance.
Thank you.
Yeah, our expenditures do exceed revenues, but like has been mentioned by David and by the mayor, all these capital projects we have in here will be brought back before the board before we actually undertake them. So if we get through part of the year and the revenues aren't looking good, then we can always delay these projects to a future year. Plus, even though the revenues are less than the total expenditures, we have plenty of so-called money in the bank that we could fall back on to actually make those expenditures.
Okay. Well, it's not a big difference, but,
Yeah, I think we're in good financial shape that we can cover that.
okay. But the public needs to know that it was not a good year.
Well, it was not a good year.
A good outcome, if you want to say
Yeah.
that. Okay, thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak on item 6? Seeing none, I entertain a motion and any further discussion.
I'd so move.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, the resolution approving the proposed operating budget and capital improvement program was moved by Councilmember Ward and seconded by Regent Clare. Any further discussion?
Hey, David, why don't you talk just briefly, I think, to follow up on Jane's comment, talk briefly about where the JPA is financially in comparison to where we budgeted to be when we started this project 10 years ago or whenever we started. I can't remember exactly, but I think that's important for the public to know, because I think the good work that's been done by everybody involved with this project has put us in a position that we could weather the storm of COVID-19, and I think there's a huge number of arenas around the country or large venues like this around the country that would switch places with us in a minute because of where we sit financially, still ahead of where we budgeted to be when we stuck the first shovel in the ground, again, 10 or 11 or 12 years ago, whatever it was. So I think it's really important for the public to know. I think it's important for you to share with us where we sit, because this is, nobody wanted to go through COVID. We did. We were very conscientious with our monies, and I think we did a good job managing our monies, and I think we have weathered this storm exceptionally well.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak and for the question. I'm going to share my screen right quick. Let me know if you guys can see this. Yeah? So there's a couple of things. Our occupation taxes were down 0.42% below last year. This is a very strong year for us. That's $131,126 or 0.84% above our actual projected. That leaves us at 8.3% over our original projections, and which would correspond to being at 2025 levels for occupation taxes. If you look at the bottom line here, since inception, we have collected $22,877,946, or 16.73% more occupation taxes than we originally projected, largely due to the leadership of this board. It's been a very consistent management approach, and that is appreciated. When you look at the overall, this is a little bit of an eye chart, I'll admit, looking at budget year 2022 and looking out to 2034, and you go to the bottom line, these are 2% growth projections. They're very conservative. We have $29 million in the bank at the end of 2022, and we look out over that 10-year horizon, and we maintain more than $20 million in the bank, and we grow to $30 million in the bank. You are exactly correct, Mr. Clare. A lot of JPAs and other arenas would be more than willing to change places financially with us.
Meaning that the figures that you showed, where we end up at, I believe you said 2034, that is after we've serviced bond, debt, and interest payments during those years as well, right?
Correct.
Okay. That's
Thank
all I
you.
wanted to point out.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Yep, just one point, Madam Chair. I think to Regent Claire's point, I would just like to commend Tom Lorenz and the management at PBA. It was a tough year, and you did have to do, among many other things, lay off staff. So just kudos and gratitude to Mr. Lorenz for steering that ship during a really tough year. So thank you, Tom.
Yeah. Thank you, and thanks also to Project Control for your support through tough times. All right, with that, please call the roll on item 6.
Ward,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird,
Yes.
motion carried 3-0. The next meeting date will be held Thursday, September 30th, 2021 at 2:30 p.m. here in council chambers.
Okay, thank you, and with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved. I do have I'll be out of town on that day. So we're gonna need to come up with a new day.
You noted.
I will second the motion.
Okay, and just, Casey, if you got that, we would like to look for a different date for the next meeting to ensure that we can all be here. So we'll get that poll done and get back, publish the real date soon.
Yep.
All right, please call the roll. A motion to adjourn.
Ward,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird,
Yes. Thank you.